Hello and welcome back to another episode of Gifting Good Oxide. Welcome back, Sydney.
Hello.
I think we can just continue with our session results, huh? And I think you handled all of them, and I didn't really look at it, so I guess you will be the one to guide me through what's there and maybe also what's not there. We have new session notes, maybe. All right.
So I didn't have time to finish everything in there. I tried to address most of the things, but there was one or two to-dos in the code that weren't documented here that I managed to do. So essentially, it was the first three of those did actually happen, and there was one bigger to do in code basically, which was basically a combination of refactoring tests and fixing some bugs and actually improving on the general parsing. But yeah.
So we just take these over and change like this, I think, and then let's see what else we have. Okay, then I go through what's there, and first we switch to this error. That's a nice one because it's kind of very, very straightforward. Yeah, the only thing I would check is this error, yes. Quick error, no. Okay, good.
Exactly. Also, when I added this error, I noticed that there was a newer version, but I'm guessing that you want to keep the same version within all the different crates, right?
Define newer version.
So I think there's 1.0.27 if that's the one for this error. And I think that's what it defaulted to. And then I just realized, you might use, so yeah, every other version was, I think, one lower. And that's why I thought, okay, maybe I will stick to what I see in the other files.
That's a cool thing to, really, it's a cool thing to bring up because, now it makes sense. It looks like this is exactly 1026, right? But it's not. It's actually implied to be whatever this is.
I see.
So it will automatically update the patch level for sure. So in the cargo log, you should actually see 1.027.
Okay.
Which defines what's actually being used ultimately. Let's see if that's true. Oh, not this one. Cargo log. So this error. Yeah, used in many dependencies. Name is this error. So it's actually using 10331 effectively. And this is...
Okay, so it's always automatically using the newest version.
Yes.
Right?
And I think it also updates automatically to newer minor versions, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, I'm not entirely sure. Technically, it can do that, but no, actually, I don't think it upgrades minor versions, only patch levels. I think. I don't know. I don't know exactly. Maybe it does upgrade because it should be safe. And Cargo is kind of keen to upgrade anyway, even if it's not safe. So yeah. But yeah, that's that. So it uses the latest one, and this can be ignored, the patch level. Some people, they actually write it differently. So maybe Good Oxide should eventually do the same. They just write it like this. And then it's more obvious what you actually intend. And you can also write it like this.
The other one seems very explicit.
Yeah.
Like, give me this exact version.
Yes, which doesn't really happen anyway, right? And I think that's the confusing part. And maybe this really tells us that we should understand what Cargo really does and then just set the version accordingly. And I think this really means you go with this. But I'm not entirely sure. So, how do I find out? Now probably not, but maybe I remember and then I can take a look. Okay, that's this one. Check. And the next one, use matches for error testing. So we run the test then.
Yeah, there was some refactoring done in the test, so we have a bit more readable from this window, I guess.
And we use matches and we test all these cases. Should fail in invalid keywords. So Here's something, this obviously is just me and my taste. When I see all these prefixes, I think I do tend to put modules there, or just save on. And this doesn't really do much except for allowing you to collapse all the positive or all the working and not working cases, and just adds a little more structure, which I like, I guess, instead of having to repeat reading this should fail on, and then I think it's better. It's nicer for reading for me anyway, and helps me to focus. So that's something I like. Let's see if this is something we can really quickly do. There's a bunch of helpers, which even says it's helpers. You will probably always find me remove this. Not that it, I don't mind very much. It's just that, yeah, I know, it's obvious enough. And I'm not going to maintain that, so, that's why.
Yeah, I don't know why I put these in. Sometimes it's just, I don't know, maybe after staring at code for too long, then it's nice to have these visual splitters, separators, whatever.
I even understand. I don't know if it's... I don't say it's related, but I know the earlier you go back to my code, the more you will have these structural separators, to the point where it's insane, like real banners and stuff. And it's this and this and this. And sure, this helps you to think and to rationalize, but also people say, if you got to do that, you want to refactor so that the code itself is split up so that it's smaller pieces that are more obvious. And then you just have functions that use code themselves. And this is, I think, why I just put modules, and then it's kind of obvious that these local functions, they are obviously helpers because they're not part of any API. They can't be, it's a test. So it's, from context, it's obvious enough. And if it wouldn't be, you would probably put more other ways to do it. Let's say comment is the last thing, but there will be some parts where there's still comments, but it's super rare, I guess. So for this, anyway, I tried to justify. Let's see. Failed to resolve. Oh, interesting. Yeah, then I usually just like in terms of workflow, because it's sometimes when IntelliJ doesn't like you because of the matches, within matches, it doesn't like that. So just copy paste everything, and then you have a bunch of extra unused imports that are easier to remove than adding by hand everything you want to add.
Yeah, true.
And that kind of cleanup. It's always interesting, and then you see the dependencies. Look, all this stuff here that comes in from that is part of the testing of failures. Also interesting that we use this parse error here outside. Or am I getting this wrong? I think I got that wrong. Okay, so now should fail. And then maybe, then just turn it into something English. Failure. Or should fail. Yeah, maybe should fail, empty input. Then you also don't repeat the on. It's more like this is, whatever. I don't even mind. I wouldn't change that. If it reads English, it's good enough to me.
No, but shortening the stuff, especially if you can modularize it, basically.
Yes.
Is something I was trying to do, kind of. I'm just trying to keep stuff as short as possible.
And there's an art to that, and I think when you see it, what's left here, this is the gist of it. This is the key, and that looks good to me. And now I didn't even really read it while modifying it, but now here's what I look. Should fail. Okay, invalid keywords, invalid attributes, empty input, glob and literal. Glob and literal present. These are incompatible.
Glob and literal keyword, maybe.
And that's that's already pretty decent, I think. And to me, the way I see this is that if necessary, I even potentially add some message here in the assertion. However, here the error is already so clear in compatible search modes that I would not do anything about that. This seems perfectly clear, and it even is visible in the error, which is great. By the way, again, there's nothing wrong with adding white space. It's just nowhere done elsewhere. So I just unify the style, so to say, and that's it. I don't know if I really want to make this camel case. Because IntelliJ also doesn't like it, but IntelliJ is really into camel cases and stuff for obvious reasons. So I take it with a grain of salt. I just think, does it look better now? And yes, it kind of pops a bit better, huh? The search modes is now more
true. I think I also called the actual type search mode in camel case, so it's a bit of an inconsistency there.
Good. Then I think empty string. Empty string is not a valid path spec. Invalid keyword. Here's something cool, by the way. This I don't do actually anymore, actually. Instead, I do this because that will put parentheses automatically.
That's the same, true.
And that's less noisy. Missing at the end of paths. Missing parenthesis close at the end of path magic in. I can do the same here. Nicely quoted stuff. I think there's still plenty of examples where I single quote things like this. This is something I do a lot. So there's inconsistency in the code base, but these days, and one might also ask, you know, like really, maybe we decide that now. I really have to figure this out, like be consistent. That's the most important thing. What's easier to type?
Yeah.
Is it easier to do this or is it easier to do this? And it's actually easier to me to just do this, then you have to deal with two different kinds of characters that you type. And it's easier. Otherwise you have three different
It is easier.
For me.
I know that I sometimes do this to really make sure, or to really make clear what's the dynamic part in an error message or just in the print statement or something like that. And then, for example, in this case, there is already something with single characters in there. And sometimes, I don't know, I need that distinction. But I don't know if you can make that a rule.
Yeah. Also, how often is this happening? Like, I don't really recall many cases where I do this on top of that, and whether it really. I like the idea of this having that distinction. By the way, to have these, then the parts that are passed in, the parts that are static in the message. I've never thought about it so far. I didn't have it, but if you wanted to make that distinction, we can just go with question mark then, and you know. It's okay. I also don't hate myself for having the other style elsewhere, because if in doubt, you just find a replace and turn it into this style, and then you're done, which I would totally consider. You know, then at least you don't have to think about it anymore, because that works with what you suggest, right? And it works with what I kind of just said a moment ago. So if that should be worth anything, then I think this is the style that works with both. Single quotes for us and automatic double quotes for the stuff you want to print that caused the issue. So this should be glob. Literal and glob keywords cannot be used together, right? There was this thing that cannot.
True.
No, wait, cannot be together. No, what was it? Oh.
It's one word. You can use it as one word. Okay. But yeah, they can't appear in the same pathspec.
Okay. And here we go. That still compiles. Then the can parse. We can do that similar. The good thing is that this is easier. Can parse. So we have should fail. And then valid. Maybe just valid, invalid, don't know. You can also call it can parse. Okay. Oh, okay, it's already all done. Oh yeah, right. I made a mistake. The helper should stay on top, and then they need to be.
Yeah.
Where are they? They're outside. Okay, good. But they need some imports that are now removed. Okay, we can fix that.
Oh, I see. That's right.
And then we need to bring them back. Okay, never mind. There's no quick and easy way. There's just a way where you have to work. And
Pretty automatic anyway.
yeah.
At least with the imports.
I think there is an import all, right? But I don't really find it. I'm pretty sure there is something that fixes all of this. But, you know, why would you want to do this by hand, I wonder? And I don't really want to,
Sure.
Especially with these special things that don't have duplicates. So I'm probably missing something here that IntelliJ totally has, and I just don't use it. Okay, one unused. That's pretty good. Okay, so how does this look like now? Should fail. So now valid, invalid, huh? So
makes more sense, yeah.
oh, now we have invalid, invalid. Fail, succeed. Fail and succeed. Okay, then we do it. Do it like this. Then I did enough bike shedding regarding words. I think I reuse fail and succeed, maybe for the same reason elsewhere in other parsers as well. It doesn't seem like I invented something now. Succeed, signatures and search modes, attributes and signature, short signatures, empty signatures. Okay. Then I guess this is good as a first little refactor. Did I ever put some issue number there? No, I did not. Okay.
Yeah, this is only if you're tracking an issue outside of the PR, right? Then this is probably useful. But if it's inside the PR, that doesn't make much sense, right? I've also stopped halfway through.
True. I mean, I don't ever provide the PR number ID of the PR because I thought, yeah, maybe it doesn't make much sense. But I usually have some tracking issue or there's some top level issue that this belongs into, and then I at least link it to that story, so to say. But here we don't seem to have any because it's just, you know, nobody really needed that except for the CLI. The CLI actually wants to do this right, and right now it's just hacked so that there is a glimpse of what's to come, but there's no real tracking there. Maybe that also tells me there should probably be some tracking that says, okay, how does this fit? Why do we do this? And besides the fact that we need it, it's more like, how does this fit into the bigger picture? And right now I have no answer. How is this important for clone? Yeah, it's important for the command line, and there are already some commands out there that need pathspecs. They're just not really doing it yet. Okay, but anyway, it's not the most important thing in the world to have this. Yeah, then I think it's fair to say that matches for error testing is there. Is there something to do left? Cache results, that one. That's kind of question.
Yeah, I didn't get to do this one.
Yeah, it's also a bit unclear. I have to completely refactor how this works and put it into the existing style. And it really is the question whether you want to do that or not. I think we can talk more about this once we check how you fix the Windows issue there.
It should be fixed already.
Yeah, it's fixed. It's just like, why did it fail in the first place? And would that also fail if you would, you know, change the testing style, if you would remove this and put it into a shell script? Like something changed that made it work. And I don't know.
Yeah, I saw the test case. There was like 5 consecutive colons or something, and it didn't run on Windows. And then I realized that was actually invalid in Git anyway. So basically, we did the test a little bit, fixed the bug, and then that test case went away automatically.
Oh, yeah. And now we still have 1, 2, 3 colons. I think if this works cross-platform consistently, it's already pretty neat to me. Like, wow, Windows should hate the guts of this, but it doesn't, and that's nice. It does not get, actually Windows doesn't see this, huh? We just call Git directly, so Git gets to process that, and I think that's the way. There's also no extra, how do you call it? No extra processing done. So Git does not think colons are special if it runs on Windows, which is good. No cross-platform special stuff that we have to consider there. That's very nice. I like that. So yeah, cool. So 5 colons. I don't even ask the question why that worked on Unix and didn't work on Windows, because there must be something special then.
Yeah.
But I don't ask questions there. It's okay. Broken is broken, right? Like, who would want that? We don't have to be bug for bug compatible if that is a bug or a shortcoming. Okay, magic without. Magic.
Yeah, that was basically a bit like a bigger refactor of how the pattern works. Essentially reducing the magic signature, and then introducing the search mode enum to be able to represent all the different cases.
Right.
And yeah, that was the bigger refactor.
Yeah, sure. We talked about this.
Same here. Yeah.
Tiny. It looks, you know, with underscores, it just looks so much better now. It's like, oh, nice. It's easy on my eyes. Also, I say that knowing that everything is kind of trained, but yeah, camel case I will never get used to, so I'm so happy. Honestly, if Rust would use camel case, I would not like it that much for this. Like, Rust does all the right things when it comes to the style I like, and this is it's a big deal for me. Strange.
It goes a long way.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. I mean, that's not really a review of the code. It's more like glancing at it, and we see that we parse keywords, and this now returns the whole search mode.
Yeah.
And we just assign this here later.
I didn't really like that aspect of it, that it's kind of, you have to add one more thing that it then returns, and you have to process one more thing in the output. But that was just how it was set up already, so it was easy to add this way. But ideally, that would be, I don't know, a better way of doing it. But it's simple. It's
a complex signature, and Clippy lets it pass. That makes you lucky, but you're not actually lucky. So.
Oh, I see, because it gets too big.
Yes. So now we can, you know, like I take Clippy very seriously, and sometimes I mute it, but very rarely, really. And false positive are rare too. And this is clearly a complex signature. I mean, I second that. And there's many ways to fix this, like, and this is internal as well. So it's super trivial to fix this. It's just like, can we find an even better way? And I really asked this, not knowing if there is a better way. Search mode. Oh yeah. Ah, you got me there. It's so that's cool. What's the default search mode? Is it something that is not literal or glob?
Yes.
What is it then? I mean, like, maybe my question was ambiguous or something, but you would then be able to describe what makes it default as opposed to this and as opposed to this, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just basically not literal and not glob. And in this case, literal just means don't do any glob path magic, whatever, just use the character as they are. And the glob, is, I don't really know how this works, but I think Git handles the glob or the double glob, basically the single glob, differently than a normal shell does. And this optional glob search mode will change that basically from Git mode to shell mode.
Okay. I trust you, but okay, so here we have exactly that, right? We have literal and glob, and that's boiling down to search mode. And this, if this is not set, then it's default something. Glob magic. So if we find the place where this is used, is this matching here? Init pathspec item. No, that's initialization. So I think we already go around. Where's this used?
Glob pathspec is already written.
Init pathspec item. Yeah. Where's the matching happening here? Parse pathspec adder match init pathspec item. Is this perform the initialization of the pathspec on a pathspec item or pathspec element? Does this already match here? It's more like I want to know, here's why I'm so into this. Maybe the documentation should help here.
Yeah, the Git glossary. There's, I think, the first link there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so this is the one.
Glob magic is incompatible. So what is the default matching?
Yeah, it's the Git style glob.
Git style glob. And this is FN match style glob. But it has the FN match style, that's actually what Git implements. And this path name flag, that's just this is standard Git globbing essentially here.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I can tell, these double asterisks and then wildcards in the pattern will not match / in the path name. This is exactly what Git glob wild match with the with that path spec thing does. And literal means no wildcard matching is done, even though this might look like a wildcard. And then the default, what is there? What else is there? The default should be some other globbing style, but Git has no other globbing style as far as I know. Or I'm wrong, and here they call FN match somehow, which also they don't call wild match here. Match pathspec adders, match, there's not so much with match going on either, except for here, this one. Here they do match something. And here
match string.
Pathspec literal path ignores magic. So look, so this ignores magic, this makes pathspec literal. And here they're not supported.
So yeah, I'm not sure I fully understand, because the documentation here implies that there is a different matching, there is different matching going on by Git, right? And with this glob flag, you activate the FN match style.
Yes. But also, as far as I know, even if you don't say that, these globs, if you put glob patterns there, they also work. But maybe they work as shell style. look, maybe not specifying glob doesn't give you the path name. So then it's really just a shell glob kind of thing. This means asterisk matches slashes and you don't have the double asterisk. So it's more like a shell pattern. So what you would type on the shell, that will then, Git will do it exactly like your shell would do. But if you say glob, then it works like Git usually handles these patterns, for example, in git exclude, git ignore, and git attributes.
I think it's the other way around. Like if you activate it, then it's used as if it were on the shell, and otherwise it uses the git style.
Yeah.
So that would be the default mode.
But, it uses for consumption by fn-match with, so this means it must call fn-match then, because otherwise, so we add some magic here. Where is magic used? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that here's where the matching happens, really. Looking at how this looks like, this looks vaguely familiar. Okay. So if there's globbing, do nothing special. If not, then no wildcard. No wildcard matching. Okay, so that's a simple comparison or something, I don't know. Or checks if there is no wildcard. So I think, no, this is still, I think the preparation here. So wherever, look, for example, this thing here, pathspec 1 star. These are just flags that help it to match faster later. So wherever this is used, I think that's where we find the answer. Here, dear seed. So that does a git fn match and item flags. PS string comp. So here it does an accelerated star matching. And with git glob it uses wild match. Ah, look at that. Okay, here, this is the answer. So with glob it uses git globbing, and without it uses the standard mode, which doesn't have this path name special stuff. So it's like I suggested, the default is shell globbing, and then we have git globbing as optional one. And that gives the answer for what this should be, and maybe also what this should be. So yeah, we could call this shell glob, why not? And this is path aware glob or something like that to make it really, really explicit. That would be my suggestion. But yeah, let's do this first. Or fn, no, fn match is the same thing. Shell glob. Default search mode where? Default search mode where? Yeah, it's not the default anymore. Now we can describe what default is very much differently. Okay. Expand special characters like, look what I do. I use backticks. Then you have monospace, which is more like what you want. And here you can do that, right? So in error messages, it's different. There, I think single quotes are better. But here, double quotes are better.
Nice. Yeah.
Expand special character like this. Similar to how the shell would do it. Uh, yes. So path name means that star will not cross slash. So special path name mode. Okay, I always have to look it up again. Which also means that, you know, for a shell, a single star means you look in the current directory. The shell naturally cannot look further than that.
Mhm.
But with these globs, it's kind of different, I think, because I actually don't know. Wait, I don't know how it's different because I don't know how the matching actually works. The matching algorithm that might very well be specific to the path component that you're currently looking at. So I think it is actually. Why would it not be? But I don't know. I really don't. But let's just say from all we know now, expand special sentence, like the shell would do it, and as opposed to this is path aware glob. For lack of a better term, please give me something better. Struggling. A single star will not match in the pattern, but a would do it. Yeah. C path aware glob. For the alternative. They're kind of like a pair. And this is the default. And the question, you know, we make it explicit. I think it's a good idea to make that explicit. The alternative would be to just not have this case and then let the matcher decide. Oh, it's an option. You know, then you would make this an option. And that's your choice. And somehow I feel like making this explicit like this and just defaulting it is better for describing the subtle differences between these modes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's funny, like just raising that question actually shows how unclear that actually is. So yeah, definitely defining it a bit better is a good idea.
Look, so now I look at this and I see something. And we can leave it that way. I feel that it's better to not repeat that. So it's kind of a step back. And we don't have to do that, right? Like it's the question, does anybody ever do that? And can the parser just be the authority and it sets that? And I'm feeling that I like that more. And then, you know, this doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. We can just say, okay, we then have to keep these two pieces up to date. Like, how do we assure that? We can at least make a debug assert here and say search mode. So then now it's kind of obvious what the search mode defaults to, and and we say that this has to stay together. Now I get what I want, that the search mode starts out as the shell glob, which is the default. And then when I write this, I'm thinking, do I really want that? Should I not just write default? I don't know. For now, I would keep it like this, and maybe one day somebody will remove it or I will remove it. But yeah. But now it speaks better, I guess. Okay. Okay, back to the signature question, huh? So now we keep digressing for good reason.
Good reasons, yeah.
The signature search mode. We have to return a search mode in some way. So that doesn't solve our signature problem. And yeah, so the existing search mode, I see.
I mean, at this point, it's basically already returning an entire pattern just without a path. I'm not sure if that makes more sense just to create a pattern right there, and then just give that back to be updated with the path.
Mm-hmm. Is this even possible? Is the path optional? Yeah, I mean, bstring can be default, like you do it here with empty. Does empty, is this something that makes sense? Like, is this something people can use in some way?
I'm actually not sure why this is even in there. Is this being used? Oh.
No, I don't think it is. It came up,
Yeah.
It came up empty. Okay, so then, yeah, you're perfectly right. And there's no harm in just overriding that empty bstring. It will no locate. And that's a great point. Is there some repercussions in the way this parsing works? Yeah. So this can continue, right? Like in theory, this will not break afterwards. Like if you come and kind of give it multiple, like it looks like it should break here.
Theoretically true.
But probably I'm wrong. Most likely I'm wrong. No, it just skips over this one, and then it would expect to continue. Like when I see this is, can you make invalid path specs by just giving it repetitions of something that is valid repeatedly?
And no, but that's actually valid, like at least from testing it. I think there's one test that actually does this, like repeatedly giving it like shorter values. Where is it? In the can parse short signatures.
So that repetition.
So just testing it really quickly. Like the only reason this is there is because there can technically be another colon after the closing bracket. But just testing it really quickly on the command line, there's actually an error if there is any other short form signature style behind it. So we could technically break there. Or we should actually.
Okay, let's have a test for that. I will just put that in here as a node, huh? Test to assure valid portions aren't repeated or repeatable. Maybe, yeah, motivate way to break. Oh. All right, so now finally, once again, back to the signature. Can we return? So once the break, you know what? I think once the break is there, you can easily return the pattern here, like you suggested. And then it's clear that this works, because right now it would override the last one, and it kind of does that with the other attributes too. And that shouldn't be valid. So that will fix that. Fix complex clippy signature warning, probably by returning a pattern right away. Cool. And that is the gist. I think here, yeah, maybe this one also stuck out. Like you validate that I mean, these are mutually exclusive. Actually, this should not be set to anything else. This means if you come with glob glob, do you test that somewhere? Like literal glob glob, like repeated keywords.
No, I don't.
Invalid keywords, repeated keywords. Can I just be very lazy and say glob glob literal repeated matcher keywords, because it's just these, huh? And then is not valid parse it's an error and it matches invalid. Yeah, it matches something. Probably it doesn't.
I'm gonna fail because I think this is actually valid in Git, at least the way it's being tested right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it valid for us? Probably not. Hey, what? Did I not just deactivate that? Pathspec is valid and good. Hey. What? What did I do? I removed it somewhere else. Okay.
Oh.
It does fail though. It fails, but yeah, it fails with something else, but it shouldn't fail.
Exactly.
And just for curiosity's sake, incompatible search mode. So that, yeah, that makes sense to fix that. And repeated keywords are totally valid. So that's a cool thing. Now you just put it here and it works. Is valid in Git? Interesting that this is not used for the... So in theory, the valid signatures, they would also...
This is in there. Yeah, I think you can just use this function instead.
Yeah, check valid inputs. Ah, cool. See,
I would have done the same for the invalid ones, but the matches macro is a bit, you have to be specific.
Okay, path. So here, but this one, the big one, pat. Do I need pat?
What do you mean?
I need something that gives me the path and the search mode. So I think then I need the big one here.
Oh yeah, that's basically everything. Yeah.
Okay. That's everything. And glob. Okay. It does not seem to like it very much because I have some... okay. Yeah, so that might even work, So glob. This is, yeah, right. Now to the test. Does it make sense what I wrote here? Glob. That's path-aware glob. And Git only gives us glob, but it's path-aware glob. And that is literal, that's just literal. And that's that. That should be it.
The path is still in there. You have some path as the first input to path. Or you can also remove it, doesn't matter.
Remove it entirely, that works. Empty is fine.
Yeah.
Cool. That probably means something like top level or current working directory, If it's empty, it just...
That's the thing, like how the matching works, I don't really know.
Yeah,
I can just tell if Git fails or it doesn't.
True. Input. Okay, there we go. Mismatch types. Okay. Now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will just ignore this.
Now we'll fix this.
Fix ignore test. Okay, back to this, because originally I was just looking at the code and thought, maybe this is an option, and we know it is. This will be fixed, and then the rest, did that change a lot? I don't think it did,
I think that was just something, yeah, with mapping the error, basically. That was the one new thing.
Oh yeah. Just remove the error
exactly.
number. Yeah.
And also that we like, because it's dependent on the other crate, basically, and we just expect it to only be this one error. The other one is just unreachable, so it'll notify us in time if anything changes.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other errors, so repeating them is probably not worth it. So now we delay that to runtime, and we say it's probably not going to happen, and hope that's actually the case. But yeah, another reason to be a bit uncertain about that is that this is this combined error, and it doesn't separate into attribute parsing and parsing of everything else, like attribute. Like this is a parser within a parser. Some part parses attribute names and the other part parses lines, and the error, this shows that the error is not well designed. It's just, you know, the quick and easy way, and this gives you the uncertainty. And maybe there should be just one error that is always related to attribute parsing, whatever can go wrong there. And this is something that I'd like to write down. Like, is this something that can be fixed relatively easily? Is this something you could consider doing because you run into it and you would benefit, or this pathspec code would benefit? And that's something I encourage you to look at, just because this might not be the last time this happens for you. That some parts are not as great as they should be. Okay. Looks good. One tiny little thing. Yeah, that's a bunch of refactorings. Again, make search mode default more clear. And yeah, add test for repetition of search modes. Okay. And now this one here, that's something, you know, whenever I see if let some and then else, I wonder, could this be a match? And would match actually be better? Which is another question to answer. Here there's an assignment. Whenever there are assignments, it's usually a sign that probably this should stay the way it is. But also the question, could it be a match? And you assign the match has a return value. I think, I fear I repeat myself. I think I said that before in some context. So if I did, I apologize. Maybe I have to just go down the same rabbit hole again, just to realize it's perfectly fine. But let's say it's a potential opportunity. Oh yeah, here we return, right? This is where that ends. This is why.
Yeah.
Could still be, I mean, it could still be a match. Match returns, the other match arm does stuff. It doesn't have to be a match, because it can also be if let. I prefer, like, if it's something like this, I really prefer like the look of match. It's so much better. Let's put it to the test. And then we have some headers. And we have none. And it's a bit, I don't know if it's, honestly, I don't know if it's so much better. Maybe you tried that. Usually it's so much better. Now it's a bit more spacious, right? It's a bit less condensed. And usually I'm just very used to match statements. And I really like them, because then I know I don't accidentally forget something with an option. It's not really a problem.
And for options, it's usually my go-to, the flat style. For some reason, it's just a bit more clear if you only have two cases, and especially if you have bigger blocks in the middle, it's a bit more readable.
What happens to attribute duplication? Can we run into this? Because, you know, these assignments, like whenever there's an assignment, I wonder, can you get there again? Because there is no break. And with these, I think Git will just ignore duplication. It will just assign it over and over again. But with these, you can have more attributes. Like Git, you can combine these potentially. And I don't know if semantically or if Git allows, if that style allows that, where's attributes and signatures. So that's adder, some adder, not some adder, minus some adder, another adder. Okay.
You could make another attribute thing basically.
And then we see what happens in Git. It tests against Git, right? So at least it should be valid. And then we can see maybe also what Git does, if it combines them or not. A, B, comma, glob, comma, adder, C, D. That should be good enough to see what matters, I guess. And judging by the code, that should be fine. You know, when you know the code a bit, you know how far you have to go. Even though technically you could test much more here, but let's keep it simple for now. So that's a path where glob. And here we have A set, B set, and then, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would expect everything to be done here, right? But let's see, maybe it's not valid at all.
I'm guessing at the moment it will override.
Aha, it's invalid in Git. So that's good.
Oh, okay.
Because that tells us that that's a missing test for us. So Git also doesn't like to override stuff, apparently. And you can only mention attributes once. And repetition tests for the other attributes, like for other magic attributes like top, do you have that?
I don't have it now, but should be in there.
Okay.
Now see this. Yeah, this is such a strange thing. Like, how far do you have to push this to be able to find all of these different cases?
But that's the beauty of looking at the code. You know, you see what it does, and you should not overwrite stuff because then you lose what was there. It's more like it's a very general thing, and then there's the question to answer. And now that's how you can peel, you know, or peel out more tests just by that. And you don't need to look at Git to know that. And that's cool. Okay, repetition tests for attributes. Doesn't work. And for things like top, didn't check. Okay. And how far do you have to go? As far as you can, obviously. As far as you possibly can. But looking at the code and having very simple and straightforward code, I think that really helps. I'm not done yet, you know, it's more like these assignments, they tricked you. They tricked you into doing this, and these are all over the place. And I don't know if this is valid or not, so I'm not going to argue about that. It's more like, this is not valid. Can this be rewritten so that you have to do it correctly, you know? Like, can you use the type system? And with this overriding, probably not. You could make it an option, then you could easily check if it was assigned before. And that could be the way. And if you have to, I mean, I think, you know, this has to fail. So I think then you have to find a way to test for that. And then you can use pattern matching cleverly, you know, then you can just match on both maybe, and then you can then you see exactly what you have to cover. Wasn't set yet, and we have attributes. Maybe even, you know, look at this. I mean, now that I see this coming, I'm like, yeah, why it's like this? We want to have the adders. We don't actually care about that match statement. So we we want, like this fails always, right? Like now it's pretty clear that this always fails if there is no adder prefix, because now we want an adder prefix, right? Like this is the only thing that can be here. Thus, we have an option,
yes.
and we want to raise this to be a result. How do we raise it? Okay, or else. And this is, yeah, so this makes calls. Thus, we need okay or else. So we put this into a closure, so this only runs, costs us when it happens. And then we can bail out here, and then we have adders. And now all this can go away. All this can go away. This can, oh, wait. Something happens. Rest FMT failure. What? Ah, here's something. Okay. Rest FMT is happy again. Okay, so that looks much better. So bail out as soon as you can. You know, that's always always a goal. There's no question about that. Always right. Bail out if you know you bail out. And now you assign, and now you can probably, you know, once you fix this error, you will have to find a way to mark these. Instead of having some Boolean flag lying around, wrap these in an option, and then this can't go wrong. You know, then you have to properly handle it. And you always match these together. They always are set together. Ergo, these both want to be in an option, then they want to be together in a tuple, probably, so that, oh no, wait, they're not always set together. Never mind, they don't want to be together. They want to be separate then. Okay, cool. But that's just a refactor here, and it doesn't work because this is done automatically. You just need the error itself. And that's better. Yeah, it's just on top of that, some refactor. Oh, no, wait. Oh, what? 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 This just changed, didn't it? What did I do? Oh, what? What did I do?
There was another line there, yeah.
Did I delete that by accident? Maybe. I think I did. Okay. Make. All right, so that's the message. Fixed it. Don't know what happened. Some Vim issue, which of course is me. Vim is perfect. I'm not. And that, I think it is. Now we looked from top to bottom again and found a bunch of potential issues just by looking at it. To repeat, if stuff is reassigned, is that okay or not? And that already helps you to make the code better. And yeah, I really like how nimble this is, right? There's not too much going on, and it's pretty clear what's going on. And whenever it looks a bit more complex, it's usually a source of issues. It's like, I mean, isn't it? Like, you just have to look at code that you don't understand right away, and then probably there's something you can find that you can improve on.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess I feel that as well. Like, it should be, it feels a bit convoluted sometimes. But yeah, it's really helpful for you just to going over this and like already pointing out where to really focus on, because for some reason I don't see it immediately.
But that's also part of, you know, when you're working on this and getting a fresh set of eyes, it really helps. So the next day when you look at it, usually that gives you exactly these kind of eyes. And I think the more often we do these refactorings together, the more obvious this will become for you, just because it's certain patterns to watch out for. And some of them apply to other programming languages too, I think, pretty well. And yeah, last thing here, I mean, just to point it out one last time, like delaying things to the runtime is fine, but also always with the question, can we avoid that? And is this something we have under control, so it truly is unreachable, and then it's a bug if it's not working like it should? Or is it something that somebody else controls that we will naturally run into once some refactoring happens that we might not even notice? Right? It's possible to construct a case where there's no compile error, or we just fix it real sloppily and there's now more stuff, which can always happen. And this is a nice situation to be in. And I think not. And since we kind of have control over Git attributes, this really tells us Git attributes is at fault here and probably should be better. And that's the kind of mindset to have. Can we not have that, basically? And the answer is yes. And the reason, this is, I really enjoy doing this because it's so neat and small, and it already shows you so much that you can learn, that you can apply in bigger, more complicated issues that then force you to really keep it nimble, like to exactly do this, like make this complicated thing into these small light things and just do it similarly. And then you can beat it and you can get the highest quality that is better than anything else, so to say, especially when compared to C. You have an unfair advantage, let's face it. But it also takes some study, let's say, and some focus. And I like that. It's kind of coming out nicely, and that just is me saying Rust is great and Rust is awesome and use it more. It's just obvious, let's say, when you look at these things. And maybe in 5 years...
This is really nice. Just you really feel like you work it, and it just... every time you squeeze a bit more quality out of it, it just gets a little bit better.
Yes.
And that's a really cool feeling.
And I guess, in order to also to finish it, it's a luxury that we can have as, let's say, open source developers who don't have a strict deadline. We can just say we do it because we need that quality. I also say we need that quality. We can't be worse than Git. It's kind of a requirement. It's a baseline just. And, nothing else is optimized. Just correctness. That's all. And making the code look nice gives us correctness kind of naturally. And that's the clue here. And that's the awesomeness. And it's not even that hard, So, Rust is the thing. All right. So I think that's the word for the day. And thanks a lot for watching. And see you next time.